Hello, future Yash here. This video will mention talks of suicide. Please be aware of that. It's mentioned in multiple stories actually only two I think in this video. Please be aware of that. Do not watch if you are unable to.
We have a special guest in my room watching me film. Well, actually, this is not my room. In my designated place of filming, he's going to be judging me and watching me as I make this video. Hello, welcome to I Didn't Ask for Yappuccino, featuring your host, Yash. I am your host. This is my channel. Welcome if you're new. I gained a lot of subscribers in my last video, which was about... what was I doing? I was putting on makeup to feel better about myself, but it didn't really work. It got around 72 views, so I was kind of on a roll. I made one video around 2 to 3 months ago about talking about... what was I talking about? I was talking about how I have no friends, and that got around like almost 200 views. Then I made another video that got 40 views, and then this one that got 70 views. So I've been on a roll with YouTube. It's been showing me mercy, as I've been making content for almost 2 years with this channel, I believe. Maybe a year. I think almost 2 years, because I started filming 2024. It's now 2026, and I made my first video, which was about like graduating in 2024 around June. It's June again. Happy Pride Month. As you can tell, I haven't filmed in a month, so I'm kind of a little rusty. I don't know why I always do this to myself. I don't film for like a month or something for some time, and then I'm like back to square one when it comes to filming videos. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't even know what to talk about. But I've been meaning to film a video for a while because I just really like filming YouTube videos. I love doing YouTube and making videos. Duh, isn't that what I just said? I just repeated myself. I hope the audio's okay. Honestly, I watched a couple, like, I've been watching a lot of like videos on YouTube as well. There's people that have like a handheld microphone with like a hole on it. It looks like a Singer microphone essentially, and I'm like, wait, why didn't I buy that for myself? Because that is so much more comfortable than this. Because every time I've filmed a video with this microphone so far, it's been having some sort of glitch sound, and it's like, I did not pay $30 for you to glitch on me right here. So maybe I'll consider getting a handheld microphone, or maybe a different microphone, maybe like an ASMR-ish type of microphone, distance it a good distance for me to film these videos, because this microphone is not really cutting it out. It also kind of sounds like, the best way to describe it, this thing, it kind of sounds like a little muffled in my opinion. You guys let me know, but I always have to, like, when I'm editing my videos, I have to like take my video and like put it on the highest volume setting, so that it's like you don't have to like turn up your volume a lot when you film my video. So I'm kind of having issues with that, and I think it means I need to get a new microphone. But anyways, I've been wanting to film a video for a little while. I wanted to film a video about Divine Rivals, which I mentioned in my last video is the book series that I've been reading lately. I finished it actually because it's been a month. I think I finished it May 19th. I don't know. I'll figure it out in my Goodreads when I edited this. I'll put the information up here. Where was I going with that? Yeah, I finished it. That video that I filmed before, the latest video I filmed, I'm not making sense. The latest video I filmed with the doing makeup to make myself feel better, I was talking about how I just finished the first Divine Rivals book that I got as a Christmas present, and then I bought the second one because I knew, I had an inkling that it was going to end off on a cliffhanger. So I bought the second book, and I'm like, I'm just waiting for it to come, but I'm going to delve into it as soon as possible. But I want to make a book summary about the Letters of Enchantment series, which is what Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows, the second book, that's what the series is called. It's called Letters of Enchantment. I wanted to make a professional whole on like book summary video. I've been watching a lot of book summaries videos, and I absolutely love them. I love book review videos, people just talking about like, oh, what I read in this month, or like some like good romance recommendations. Like, I love watching those videos. Recently I've been getting into Amina's Not Okay.
It's Amina, not Amina. It's Amina. Not me saying it the whitewashed way, I'm sorry.
And Lexi Newly Nova. I don't really know her channel name, but her name is Lexi. I love her videos. And then before that, I've been watching the Shitty Book Club. Love her videos. I just love book stuff. Like, those like books videos, and I've been watching a lot of those, and I was like, wait, I can low-key do this because but not like exactly the same way, but I can low-key do this but differently, because I'm not going to, for this video, obviously if you couldn't tell by the title, the thumbnail, I'm going to be reviewing the Wattpad novels that I've read last year. But anyways, going back to the Divine Rivals thing, I'm all over the place. I've never been good at staying in one track when it comes to like speaking, so I'm sorry if I'm like jumbled all over the place. When it came to the Divine Rivals book, I wanted to make like a full-on book summary video detailed about every chapter, all the nitty-gritties. I wanted to make a video about that, but taking notes was taking too long, and it started becoming a chore, which is not a bad thing. If like doing that was my career, I would have had that done by like so long ago. But because I had to squeeze it in when I was starting my summer semester, which I'm taking calculus this semester because I chose engineering, that's kind of been getting in the way. I took my first test last week. I don't know how I did. My grades are posted, but I haven't checked. Am I procrastinating? Maybe. I don't know, but I've finished that. So I was kind of a little busy with that. I've been busy with that. So I haven't really had time to like even edit my own story, because if you guys didn't know, which you guys probably don't know because who is keeping track, I do writing on the side, and I kind of have like this schedule of like do this writing that, do this writing that. I should actually be writing right now because I want to finish editing it and have a chapter published today. That was like the initial plan, but I'm filming YouTube instead. Honestly, the quote that I have circulating in my mind is just to, it's okay if it takes longer than you thought.
Yeah. Okay, love you guys. Don't forget to smile.
So it's fine. I'll deal with it tomorrow, and I'm also settled up with a lot more tasks as well, because on top of doing calculus, writing my own story, I have to edit an entire manuscript now, because my family wants to make like a family book, like my family back in my home country. So my grandma just finished writing her novel for like our family, and she's like, okay, like sending it to us so that we can have it printed. But to have it printed, we have to have it in the correct format, and I'm saddled up with doing that. I'm literally 30 pages into the original novel. It's like almost 60 to 70 pages as I'm reformatting it, and it's taking so long, and I have like 160 pages in total. So if I'm 30 pages through, I have 130 pages to get into. So it's going to take a little longer, but I'm doing that as well now. So I don't have time to like really do like a full-on summary about Divine Rivals, and I also kind of lost interest in doing that. So I am going to make a video about that series, but I think I'm going to just summarize it based on my memory and then give my final thoughts about it in a future video. I should be doing that right now. That was initially what I wanted to do when I was like, okay, if I'm going to film a YouTube video soon, I want to get Divine Rivals out of the way, and then I can do whatever I want to do next. But I'm not in the mood to talk about Divine Rivals right now, because I need to be really in that headspace to be like, okay, let's like organize everything I knew about those two books in my mind so that I can say everything as best as I can. And today's just not that day, because I was cooking earlier today, so I'm kind of like not in that. I'm kind of like, I don't know, I can't describe it. I'm just not in the mood to talk about it, but I'm hoping that this weekend I can. But other than that, Divine Rivals, stay tuned. I'm going to make a video about that, and maybe I'll make a video about this current book I'm reading, which is actually a lesbian novel. Happy Pride Month. It's very in tune. It's called Forget Me Not. When I tell you guys right now, the book is not a romance. It has like a little bit, kind of like a little bit of romance, but I wouldn't categorize the genre as a romance. I don't even think it is a romance. But I was recommended the book on Reddit. They're like, oh, if you want a diverse story, because I was trying to find diverse stories, because in my last video, I talked about how the literary anything right now, anything book related, is so like lacking diversity. So I was like, I need to find a book that has diversity, and I was like trying to search up on Reddit, like people giving recommendations, and someone recommended that book. I went on Goodreads, it had good reviews, and I was like, I'm gonna buy it. Seems good. Like I just need to get something. And I have two other novels that are also gay. Hoping I can finish that this month, because that would be very like in tune with Pride Month and stuff. But I'm almost finished with Forget Me Not. it's messy and I do want to talk about it, but at the end of like this year, 2026, I want to give a entire book review of the books I've read. So far I've read 5. I'm on my 6th book. My goal is to read 10 books this year. And if I finish reading the 2 other ones I have, I will be on my 9th book. So, yeah, and then I can, right? Oh, actually my 8th book. I can't do math. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I would be 8 books in, so I would just need 2 more books, and I think I'm either going to reread something on my shelf. Maybe I'll buy another book, because I did buy, what is the series called? I don't know, but I bought a series, and it has like 2 other books, so maybe I'll buy those, and that'll be my 10 books. But I'm still going to read, because it's like, okay, we're almost 6 months into the year, and I've read 10 books. I was just trying to be like modest. I was like, okay, let's set my goal to 10 books. I don't know what this year is going to bring me. I may not have time to read every book that I want to read, but yeah, that's where I'm at. In terms of life, in terms of 2026, a little bit of a 10 minutes in, and I'm not even getting started into what this video is even about. Why is it always this way when it comes to me? But my channel is I Ask for Yappuccino, so like that's just kind of the way I am. I know myself. I know that I'm a yapper. Giving you guys a little bit of an oh, by the way, I'm sorry if I don't look good today. I don't know what's been going on with my face, but I've been breaking out a lot. And if I'm being lazy, yeah, because I am lazy. If I'm being honest, I don't have the time. Not the time. I don't want to put on makeup. I used to do that in this channel. I need to kind of go back to that grind. I was really like, bumping out videos like here and there, and I was like, I need to look good for the camera and this and that. But it's like, I don't know. This year has been so crazy for me that I'm just like, this is how I'm just gonna turn on the camera, no matter how I look. That I'm just gonna turn it on. So I'm sorry if I don't look presentable today. I don't know why I've been breaking out so much lately. That's just kind of how my face has been. I think it's maybe stress. This year has been crazy for me. I think 2026, as a consensus, we can say it's terrible. But just because the year is terrible doesn't mean that each day you can't do things that make you happy. For me personally, in February, my family and I were struck with the news of our dog having a terminal illness, being diagnosed with a terminal illness. So we've kind of been on pins and needles. Not kind of, we've definitely been on pins and needles when it comes to taking care of him. I'm on charge of giving him medication on a day-to-day basis. So that has been really on me, and, you know, it's lingering on the back of my head that, you know, I don't know if I wake up one day and he might not be here, you know what I mean? So that's kind of this what's on my shoulders. But despite that, you know, I really thought to myself, like, for a while I was like a soldier on, what's it called? A soldier at, what's that? At position? A soldier at ready? A soldier at attention. I was a soldier at attention when it was like the first week of his diagnosis. I was like, I need to like do everything I possibly can to like this and that, blah, 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 blah. And like a part of me is kind of like, I need to still kind of be that way, but I've kind of like taken it easy ever since his diagnosis. And I'm like, just because, you know, my family and I are dealing with this, we're struggling, this and that, doesn't mean that my life still can't be good, doesn't mean my days can't still be good. I can still say 2026 is terrible so far, and I can say that for the greater majority in terms of politics and everything that we've been dealing with, but that doesn't mean that I still can't be happy, that doesn't mean I still can't do the things that I love, that doesn't mean I still can't laugh. And if you guys are in a similar state where it's like, I'm dealing with a lot of stress, but I don't know if it's okay for me to be like happy and like do things that I love, and it's like, is it okay for me to relax and stuff? And it's totally fine for you to do that. It took a little bit of grooving into the after like getting that news, processing it, to really be like, yeah, I've done everything I could in my control. I'm just gonna continue on with my life, still, you know, take care of my dog, take care of this, take care of that, but I also take care of myself and give myself the happiness that, you know, I deserve. You know what I mean? Everybody deserves happiness. And the things that have been making me happy lately is romance. Reading romance, whether it's a webtoon, a story, reading people talk about romance, talking about romance with other people. I'm not really talking about romance with other people, but I'm watching YouTube videos. Kind of feels like we're having a conversation because I have like a podcast in my brain when a topic is mentioned and blah blah blah. So I love getting into that. That's like a huge passion of mine right now. And also, since I do writing on the site, I love writing about romance too. Looking at art about romance, just anything romance related. It's kind of not necessarily my escapism. It's not that you should have an escapism during these like rough moments in your life, but you should have a shoulder to lean on. And my shoulder to lean on is romance, and I'm happy about that. So anyways, let's get into this video because 15 minutes and I've been talking about a bunch of stuff that's not related to this video. But for today's video, I'm going to be I'm going to be kind of giving a review of the Wattpad novels I read last year. I kind of started getting really into reading Wattpad novels, I would say fall semester last year. So like fall 2025 is when I started to really get into my Wattpad era. Before then, I was a writer on Wattpad because I feel like if you're someone like me who does writing on the side as a passion, you're like, where else do I publish my work if not Wattpad? Like, that is the main writing app where people publish their stories. I don't really know of anything else, but you guys let me know. So I've been writing on Wattpad for like 2-ish, 3-ish years, honestly, but I never really sat down to like read any of the novels, which I know sounds crazy. I did have some mutuals on Wattpad where like I had some like peers where they're like, I'll read your story if you read my story. So I kind of read their stuff, but I wasn't really like locked in, and I wasn't kind of like doing it from a place of leisure. It was kind of like, I'm reading their story because we're just trying to support each other. It kind of wasn't good, if I'm being honest. I don't know what happened to that mutual, but they like got rid of all of their writing, which is really sad. I think they're taking a break from writing, I don't know, but their profile is still up. I think I tried to get in touch with them a while ago, like how they were doing. I don't know what they're up to, but I hope they're okay, and I hope they can get back into writing, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of their stuff, you know, still gonna support them and whatnot if they come back into the writing realm. But other than that, like, I didn't really read Wattpad leisurely until I did. And yeah, according to my Wattpad profile, I've read 12 Wattpad novels during that time, sort of ish. Because I got one of them is not excluded because one of them, it was like someone slid into my conversation board. If you're unfamiliar with the Wattpad platform, basically you have a this is my profile. Look at my Little Big Planet profile picture. Basically, you have an about page, which is like who you follow, your lists and whatnot, and then you have a conversation board, and people can literally slide up in here. What is this? Oh, I guess someone slid into my thing and I didn't notice. So basically, people sometimes go into your conversation board and they link stories like, hey, if you don't mind, would you like to read this story? And one of the novels that I read that is a part of my list was that, and I read it, and we're going to rank it. But anyways, let's get into our first stuff. So in total, I've read 12 books. Here they all are. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm seeing this from an inverted lens. Here are all of them. And then here are the ones I'm a little iffy about, but I'm going to talk about them. It's not going to be in any specific order. I'm going to get through the 10 ones that I've read and let you guys know about it. Maybe I'll read the little bio, and then we're just going to rate them 5 Yappuccinos out of 5. Let's see where we're getting at. So let's get to the first book. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I'm going to give spoilers. I might be a little loose-lipped. So let me put the novels. I'm going to tell you guys the novels. I'm going to put the pictures on the screen. If you're interested in reading any of them, maybe don't watch this video. Maybe put this video in your watch later. Read those novels and then come back. So the first book I'm going to talk about is One Wave Away From You by Sebastian Hansen. The second book I'm going to talk about is In 27 Days by Honor in the Rain. The third book I'm going to talk about is Face Your Fears by Honor in the Rain as well. But their actual name is Ali... What does this say? Ali Marie, I believe. It's kind of hard to read what's on the cover. But there's Face Your Fears, third book. Then there's Eyes Open, same author. Then there's the short life of death, same author. As I Am, same author. Yeah, I Hate You Too, same author. Listen, guys, once you find that author where it's like, I'm just gonna read everything that you've done, different author. Love Spilled Like Coffee by, their name is not on the title, but they're a mutual of mine. Lunara Writes. They're a mutual of mine, so. Then there's I Write Romances, Not Live Them by That Crazy Bookworm. And then we have 3 Ways to Fall in Love by Lunara Writes as well. Then we have Smitten Kitten by Hyrule. I'll just put it up on the screen. Then we have Hit List by X the Pineapple Girl X. So those are all the novels I'm going to be talking about. If you're interested in reading any of them, read them and then come back to me. But I'm gonna try my best not to give spoilers, just in case you're like, I want to put some Wattpad stories in my TBR so that I can delve into them. But let's get into our first story. It's called One Wave Away From You by Sebastian_Books. Let's read the summary. What? Oh, why is it mature? I don't know why it's rated mature, but it is complete. It has 3 parts, right? Yeah, it has 4 parts. Yeah, it has 4 parts. It was just a quick little short story. This is the person that slid into my conversation board. I read this story. I'm just gonna try to go off of my memory, but it's a little fuzzy because I think I read this like 2-ish years ago. It was like when I first started Wattpad. Actually, I can go back. When did they go into my conversation board? What date was it? It was July 3rd, 2024, so almost 2 years ago. Let's get into the summary. When a teenager loses her boyfriend in a tragic accident, she finds that surfing keeps her connected to him during her surfing high moments. Chasing his memory drives her to push herself to surf harder and win the competition for him. Before long, her newfound notoriety, I'm probably not saying that correctly. Her newfound notoriety attracts the attention of a good-looking surfer boy who is determined to find out what's really going on inside of her. So basically, this follows, I forgot her name, but it follows a main character. Wow, let's get into it. Come on, let's be professional. What is her name? Okay, I'm in their character introduction. They have like pictures. The main character's name is Nora. She's 17. There's this guy named Jack who's 18, and then there's this guy named Chris who's 17. I don't know which one dies in the accident, but apparently Nora liked the guy who was in the accident, and then he dies. Oh, it was her boyfriend. Oh, okay, yeah, it was. So she loses her boyfriend in a tragic accident. I believe it was a car accident, and she's like grieving with her loss. Nora, she's like has a huge passion for surfing, so she like really pushes herself to like surf, and she like feels connected to her boyfriend. And I think she gets with some sort of, or she like meets some sort of surfer as she's like doing this surfing thing, and it's like this new guy, either Jack or Chris, whatever, and they like kindle something together. But this story is only 4 parts, so we get like her kind of talking to him. I don't think anything happens, but I think she wins some sort of swimming competition, and then that's the end of the story. So it's pretty quick, but I think I remember the writing being good. I remember like reading it, I was like, whoa, like, 'cause at the time, guys, when I first started getting into like writing novels, I was just telling. When you write a story, you should do a mixture of showing and telling. I was just telling. Like, for example, let's say a man walks into a bar and orders a whiskey. That's what I would write. And then I would like, blah, blah, blah. The character thinks, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? But a more descriptive way to phrase a man walks into a bar and orders a whiskey is the mahogany door creaks open and scruffy boots scrape the ground, buckling as the man walks to the counter and he flashes the bartender a knowing look, asking for a whiskey. The mahogany walls of the bar only became more saturated as this man entered, leaving the taste of bourbon in my lips. Like, that would, like, okay, that was just like off the top of my head, but that's more descriptive, right? That is more showing. It's definitely does have telling still. You can't just do a book completely with showing and no telling at all. But that was the way I wrote. I would just write, the man walks into a bar. She's feeling sad. She's angry. Like, that's how I used to write. And so when I first read this book, I was like, I think I'm doing something wrong. And I was doing something wrong. If you want to get into writing, my biggest advice is to know how to use an em dash, semicolon, colon, know how to use a comma correctly. Try to do more active voice than passive voice. So, like, instead of the frown on her face made her look sad. She was sad, the frown on her face. Wait, so active voice is the frown on her face makes her look sad. Because the subject is first. The frown on her face. But when you're doing passive voice, it's like, she was sad. Okay. Passive voice, it's like you kind of just like flip it around. You're kind of speaking like Yoda. So this frown on her face makes her sad. That would be passive voice. Active voice. Girl, I don't even know the difference. Active voice is the frown on her face makes her look sad. Passive voice is she looks sad, the frown on her face curved her lips. I'm doing something wrong. Let me pull up an example. Okay, we're learning together, because why can't I just say that stuff off the top of my head? Active voice is the writing style you typically want to go for, so that the readers are just comprehending your story more easily. Because if you do passive voice, which it's not that you can't do passive voice at all, because sometimes passive voice sounds better in my opinion, but it can be a little bit difficult for your reader to know what you're trying to convey in your sentence. So in active voice, the subject is first, then the verb, and then the object. So the frown on her face makes her look sad. The frown on her face makes her look sad. Wait, that might be passive voice. I'm not sure. Okay, I can't do examples off the top of my head. Let me just see what Google had to say. So when it comes to baking, active voice, the doer does the act. So the chef baked the cake. The chef is the subject. What did he do? The verb is baked, and then the cake is the object, right? So then let's do passive voice. Let's flip it around. Object, verb, subject. So instead of the chef baked the cake, it would be the cake was baked by the chef. Instead of you saying, like, I walked my dog, the dog was walked by me. There we go. Now we got it. So that's my advice when it comes to, like, if you want to get into writing, want to write your own story, because I just did whatever I wanted to do, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Try not to listen to, like, these Instagram editors being like, don't start your story off like this, don't do this, don't do that. But overall, just as a consensus, when it comes to writing, try to do more showing than telling. Mix the two together, but make sure that you're doing more showings. Make sure that your story is immersive, that you have descriptions, and that you're using very vivid words. And try to do more active voice than passive voice. I'm being a hypocrite when I say this, because I think my story is littered in a bunch of passive voice. Yeah. Anyways, know how to use an em dash, know how to use a semicolon, regular colon, and try not to jam-pack one sentence with too many commas. Use a good thesaurus. The thesaurus I use is the Outlook thesaurus. Am I right? Outlook? I'll put it up here, but something out something. I use it. It's amazing. But also make sure that your prose is not too flowery, so that, again, when you're trying to write a story and convey some sort of whatever you're trying to convey in story, right? You don't want to make your descriptions too flowery, because that will also give your reader trouble when it comes to comprehending your story. So you don't want to use purple prose. Come on, Google, give me an example. Okay. Longingly looking at the water-bound Pisces flying through the ethereal mists of the shattered molecules crashing from the precipice above, feeling the urgent call of tartar sauce while desiring the yumminess of the savory softness entering its eager digestive tract. The purple bear eagerly awaits Mother Nature's ample omega-3 laden bounty. That is purple prose, so you don't want to be like too specific and then like replace a bunch of words with like, I just looked this up on the thesaurus and it's like a different way to say this word. You want to have a descriptive sentence. It's difficult. It's a very difficult thing to do, but you don't want to make sure your thing is too elaborate to the point where it's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Like, you could have just said the bear wanted some fish, but you're like, the bear was thirsting for omega-3. It's like, relax, like, you know what I mean? Like, but that wasn't even that much purple prose saying the bear was thirsting for omega-3. I think that's just bad writing. Anyways, that is One Wave Away From You by Sebastian Hansen. I would rate it solid like 3.8 out of 5. I think the premise is really good. Like, surfer loses their boyfriend in a tragic accident, and what she feels like those high moments where she's like, oh, I feel like I'm with him when I'm really in the zone when I'm surfing, but it's like now I see this new guy and we share the same interest, and it's like, is it okay for me to maybe kindle something with him, pursue something with him while I'm still grieving the loss? I kind of wanted more, and I think the prompt and the premise of the story was really good, but it was kind of just cut short. So 3.8 out of 5 Yappuccinos. Let's get on to our next story because 30 minutes in and we only covered one story so far. That's not really good. Our next story is In 27 Days. And guess what? It won the Waddy Award in 2012, which is like a really big deal when it comes to Wattpad stuff. The Wattpad, it's essentially like the Oscars. It's called the Waddies, and essentially you put your story into the Waddies, like you enter it. Why can't I speak correctly? You enter your story into the Waddies. It has to be complete, has to be the certain genre, blah blah blah. You enter it, you fill out the form, and then you just wait until whoever sifts through it, these judges, and then they essentially like announce you as a Waddy Award winner. There's a bunch of winners. I don't think there's like a first place winner. It's just like, okay, these are the novels that won the Waddies. These are the semi-finalists, blah, blah, blah. You guys get the point. This story won, I think, maybe the Waddy Award winner of 2012. But yeah, damn, 2012, that was 14. No, that was not 14 years ago. 2012, that was 14 years ago. Am I wrong? 12 years ago. 14 years ago. Oh my god, I'm actually like, this is so stupid. I'm pulling up my calculator. I'm in calculus, guys. Why can't I just do this off the top of my head? 14 years ago. Yeah, I was right. I should just trust my instinct. This is probably my favorite Wattpad novel. It just struck such a chord in me. Made me have such a book hangover. I really liked this novel. So let's read the summary. Hadley Jamieson doesn't know what to think when she hears that her classmate, Archer Morales, committed suicide. She didn't exactly know him, but that doesn't stop her from feeling like there was something she could have done to help him. So to Hadley's surprise, on the very night of Archer's funeral, she has a run-in with Death himself and is offered the chance to go back in time to stop Archer from ending his life. The catch? She only has 27 days to do it, and if Hadley doesn't succeed, well, she doesn't want to think about that. That is the summary. Basically, we have this story, 2012, like, get into the zone. It's that Tuscan, wait till I saw your face. It's Gilmore Girls vibe. It is MacBook when it was cute. It is Starbucks when it was based. It was Pretty Little Liars vibe. Get into the zone. It's Vampire Diaries era. Like, you know that aesthetic where it's like orangey, a little Tuscany. Everybody was going to the mall. Everybody was cringe, and there wasn't phones. You probably had a little iPod, maybe. Or I think the iPhone was out, but not a lot of people had the iPhone. Maybe they still had their little BlackBerry situation. I'm acting like I was there. How old was I? I was 6 years old in 2012. Yeah, so I can't really speak much about it, but I know the vibe. Wish I was there. Wish I was a teenager in that era. So that was like the aesthetic of this book, and I really love that aesthetic so much. I'm thinking of maybe doing a book summary of this book because I just want an excuse to read it again because it was good. You know what I mean? I just want an excuse to read it again. And also, obviously, it's like free, so it's like public domain. I'm not really like spoiling it or being like, you don't have to buy this book because I can just summarize it for you. because this is public domain, but this book actually was published as a real book, and it was like edited. And initially the love interest is Archer, right? He has sisters named April, May, and June, triplets. But I think in the actual published novel, it's only June, and she got rid of the other sister. So a lot of things changed in the actual novel, but it got published. Good for the author. Her name is like Alison Gervais, 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 is that correct? Allie, I think she goes like Allie Marie, but she went by Honor in the Rain for this book. Can you actually stop a person from committing suicide in 27 days? No. This is Wattpad logic. Okay, don't take it too seriously. But honestly, the story was so good. Like again, it really made me like, I just like love the aesthetic of like early 2000s. Wish I was a teenager during that time. So this book really made me get those feels. Honestly, Archer, he's a huge jerk throughout the story. I think he's like, he is not the standard, okay? He's really bad, but he's dealing with a lot of stuff. And I think we'll like die. Like 27 days is not nearly enough time to like really get through all those nitty gritties and be like, you don't have to commit suicide. Like it kind of seems like taking suicide lightly. Like, oh, you don't commit suicide because you've learned to love me. Like that's not how it works. Like someone is not gonna stop committing suicide because they fall in love. Like that's kind of the feel you get from this book, but it's not really that way. I don't want to spoil it too much if you haven't read it. I think people who are in the Wattpad realm definitely have already read this book because it's kind of like a founding father, I think. I don't know if I'm right, but this book was really good. Maybe I'm wrong though, because when I first consume any sort of content, I think it's really good, and then I revisit it later and I'm like, what was I thinking? Because this is not as good as I thought it would be. But it's literally the trope Grumpy X Sunshine, if you're into that. And then there was a couple other books that are like stemmed after this, but I don't want to spoil it too much, but I thought it was really good. If I would rate it, I would give it 5 Yappuccinos out of 5, honestly. Even though it has its problems, you know what I mean? Archer is not the best love interest, but I thought it was good. Next book we're delving into is Face Your Fears, also by Honor in the Rain. This is a sequel to In 27 Days. A little summary. Archer Morales, this is from Archer's perspective. The first book was from Hadley's perspective. This is from Archer's. Archer Morales' life is perfectly fine. It's finally perfect. What am I doing? It's finally perfect. He's married to the girl of his dreams and finally has a job he enjoys. But when something completely unexpected happens, Archer discovers that his wife, Hadley, has been keeping secrets, and that his past isn't going to be staying in the past. And that his past isn't going to be staying in the past for much longer. Whatever that means. When you really get attached to an author, their writing style, their story, you just want it to continue. And this book is a continuation of that. A little bit more mature because, you know, they've grown up, they've already gotten married. I think they got married young. It was like 25, 23. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's basically like a continuation of the first novel. That's what a sequel is. Girl, this video is such a nothing burger. I'm like, basically this, it's basically that. It's essentially this, it's essentially that. I'm so sorry, guys. But, so in the first novel, I don't want to spoil too much. Things are kind of left a little, not there's loose ends, but there's things that were addressed. Things that were kept secret when it's like, maybe you should talk about this and maybe you should tell the person about XYZ. This story addresses all of that. It's not nearly as good as the first novel, but I thought it was still really good. And we get Archer's perspective, which I know a lot of people don't really like when we get the male love interest perspective, because it's like, oh, why do you have an opinion suddenly? But I thought it was really good. And yeah, let's move on. Oh, if I were to rate it Yappuccinos, maybe like a 4 Yappuccinos out of 5. But yeah, it's just a sequel. What is this other book that I read? It's called Eyes Open by Honor in the Rain. The summary says the unscripted pieces of the lives of Hadley, Archer, and everyone possible from their work. I think it was just a little wrap it up a little bit better. How it all started. Proms come from pomade. Okay, so it was like them going to prom, meeting the family, blah blah blah. It was like just very short, like kind of like a spin-off. You know how like when you read a webtoon and then you're finally to the end of the story and there's like spin-off episode this, spin-off episode that, and it's like short episodes of just like kind of things that aren't relevant to the plot of the initial story. That's what Eyes Open was. I don't really remember much out of it, so I'm gonna give it an NA Cappuccinos out of NA because it's not applicable, you know what I'm saying? Next story, The Short Life of Death, Honor in the Rain. This is all still connected to In 27 Days by Honor in the Rain, and this story is about death, because if you didn't catch it earlier, if you never read this story, death is the death, as in death, approaches Hadley, and he's like, let's strike up a deal. I'm going to give you a second chance to go back in time to avoid Archer committing suicide. I'm just your guy. I'm the person who I'm based. I'm just that's what I do. I'm a good guy apparently, because I feel like when you think of death, it's like, ugh, he's probably not a good guy. But death is low-key just Hades. Like, he's just kind of the guy that rules who goes where, or is he in charge of who? Okay, not relevant at all, but you get what I mean. Like, he's not supposed to be a good or bad guy, but he's not supposed to be like morally gray or anything. But in this novel, it's basically about how Death kind of like got his role as the Death Man, how he got his role as not taking people. Oh yeah, he takes people's lives. Like, not takes people's lives as in he's gonna kill you, but it's like when your time comes, he's gonna be there. You know what I mean? He's like the angel of death. Yeah, he's the angel of death, I think. Did he say his name was Gabriel? I don't know if it's connected to like the biblical angel of death, but you guys get what I mean. Do you get what I mean? I don't know. That's what this story is about. It was cut short. I don't think Honor in the Rain ever finished making the story. They never did. It was a couple of parts because there was this significant character in the other novel who kind of like saves the day. We don't really know much about her, but Death mentioned how like, oh, we were in love, blah blah blah. So I think Honor in the Rain wanted to like give us more of the 27 Days universe in the 27 Days universe by doing this story, and I was low-key locked in because this writer is so good. Honor in the Rain, Alison Gervais. They're really good. Honestly, going back to In 27 Days now that we're kind of like wrapping up the 27 Days universe of Wattpad, I think In 27 Days was going to be made into a movie. It was that serious in 2012. But then, okay, we're kind of getting out of loop here, but I'm going to be talking about another novel. The author, Honor in the Rain, Alison Gervais, if I'm saying that correctly, says like the movie is still in the works, but it's just taking a long time to like be in process. So it's been 14 years. I don't know if it's going to still happen, but I hope it does. Hope they capture the essence of the story. Hope they don't make it like 2B-ish sidelined, how you know those Wattpad adaptations of books end up to be. Like, it doesn't end up good, it ends up cringy. I hope it doesn't fall under that bracket. I hope it's very cinematic. I hope it captures hope it captures the aesthetic of the early 2000s. But anyways, The Short Life of Death, if I were to rate it, it's incomplete. I'd rate it a 3.8 out of 5 Yappuccinos. Let's get into the next novel. This is the one I was talking about, where it was a recent, it was published, last published April 7th, 2025. So Honor in the Rain, Alison Gervais went back to Wattpad and published In 27 Days, but in Archer's perspective. So that is what this story is about. Obviously I read it, but this is where they mentioned, I believe, that it's still going to be turned into a book. Just, we don't know when. Not book, it's going to be turned into a movie. XYZ. Alison Gervais, Honor in the Rain, published As I Am, which is this next novel I'm talking about. But it's supposed to be based on the published version of In 27 Days, so it doesn't have some features that the one that I read does, that is got the Waddies award. It gives us more info into like kind of his origin story, or like what he was dealing with to like prompt him to like, want to commit suicide. More into that. It's rated mature, but because of that, the talk of suicide mentions Hadley, and you just see a completely different perspective from her. I feel like she's so much more cartoony, so much more bubbly in his perspective, and it was really good, But still, the first in 27 days, the unfiltered version on Wattpad that was like initially published is still the one that struck me more. You know what I mean? But this entire, like, if you get into this thing, you might as well get into all of her stuff. You know what I mean? So if I were to rate As I Am out of Yappuccinos, I would rate it a 4 point. Honestly, a 4. 4 Yappuccinos out of 5. I remember it being good, but it wasn't as memorable as the first book. I always kind of think about the first book once in a blue moon, and I'm like, yeah. Anyways, another story by Honor in the Rain, because again, once you get attached to an author, you're like, I'm just gonna read everything you have ever written. We have Yeah, I Hate You Too, Sweetheart. Did I mention that in the start? I don't remember saying that. I think I skipped that one, actually, in the start. But, okay, if I didn't mention Yeah, I Hate You Too, Sweetheart at the start of the video for, like, oh, make sure you read this before, because I might give spoilers. This is another spoiler warning, because I don't remember saying Yeah, I Hate You Too, Sweetheart in the beginning. Anyways, let's read the summary. Oh, I didn't read the summaries for the other books. Or I did. I don't know. Yeah, I did. Kinda. Right? Okay, anyways. Let's get into this story summary. After not seeing each other for nearly 8 years, Justin and Layla are suddenly forced to spend the entire summer together. Now, if that's not bad enough, Justin and Layla couldn't be more opposite from each other. At first, it's plainly clear to everyone that they're not just going to get along at all. But the more Justin and Layla actually get to know each other, and when they aren't fighting over something stupid, the two slowly realize that maybe there are things in life they'll need each other to figure out. What? Need each other to figure out. If Justin is arrogant, snarky, and just a bit too handsome for his own good, then Layla may just end up going insane. And if Layla's clever, quick-witted, and beyond pretty, then God help Justin. So the same thought on both of their minds? Is this going to be the summer of a lifetime or what? Basically, we have our main character, Layla, right? She's like with her mom on a trip to, I don't know, some fancy place. But basically, Justin, the love interest, is this very loaded guy. I remember his mom is like some sort of architect or an author, and then maybe the dad is an architect, something along those lines. But he's very rich. So it's kind of like the summer that I turned pretty situation where it's like loaded house, you come visit for a trip, stay with us, and we're just gonna spend the summer together, you know what I mean? So they're around the same age. They used to be childhood friends, I think, but then they grew apart. Low-key second chance romance, or it's like, let's say we were childhood friends and we kind of drifted apart and now we're back together. Kind of eats. I really love that trope. So this is kind of that. But, oh, it's Portland. It says Portland as a tag. So I'm assuming we're in Oregon, if I'm wrong. So the house is in Oregon. So Layla is going from somewhere to Oregon to spend the summer with Justin in his loaded house, mansion, whatever. And at first they're kind of like, get some sort of rivalry going on. They're like, I don't really like you. I don't know how I'm going to survive the summer here. You know the deal. But tell me why this story kind of ended not good. Like, this is kind of like the first Honor in the Rain story where I was like, I'm not vibing with this story at all. Because the ending is actually crazy. The ending, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it's very disappointing. Like, something happened. They get together, right? And then, okay, I'm just gonna say it. They get together, they get married, and then she's 21 and is pregnant with twins, I think. And you're just like, dude, 21 and pregnant? and you got married young. That's kind of a horror story. Like, that it ended so bad. I even think the people in the comments were just like, oh my gosh, like, this is so bad. How could it end this way? But that's that. And also, Justin, he's not who he thinks he is. Okay, I'm just gonna spoil this entire story. Justin is adopted, from what I remember. He's adopted, and for some reason, when she finds out, she cries. Maybe she's an empath. I don't know. Maybe she was just like, oh my gosh, I never knew. But she just starts crying, and I remember people in the comments were writing like, girl, why are you crying about this? Like, it's not that serious. Anyways, he's adopted, right? Which I don't know what that kind of led up to. Like, what is the point of making him adopted? But I guess it was like, oh, he never really felt included in the family, blah blah blah. But basically, there's like this character, right? There's this like, basically he kind of like makes out with this girl at a party. She's like some kid in his school that's kind of interested in him. They're kind of dating, but not at the same time. They're kind of like make out buddies they're more make out buddies than they are dating. You know what I mean? They're kind of just like situationship sort of. But when Layla comes into the picture, he's kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of done with her. Her name is Maggie, the other girl, right? And she's like supposed to be this very fit but kind of toxic, aggressive-ish type of girl. And they go to a wedding in the book, and Layla, her mom, Justin and his family, they all go to a wedding. I think it was in Colorado. Shout out Colorado. I used to live there for 11 years before I moved. For some reason, Maggie, and because she has a brother that Justin is like really good friends with, she goes on that trip with them, and suddenly Layla, she already had like kissed Justin. They kind of are like starting something together, but they're like, let's just kind of enjoy where it is. Let's not really put a label on what we have together, because you're gonna move at the end of the summer and we're not going to be together, you know what I mean? Because we live in different states. So he's like, let's just enjoy it where it is right now. I think that's what she says, actually. He wants it to be official, but she's like, let's just enjoy it where it is right now. And so Maggie's on the trip, right? And suddenly she like pulls him in for a kiss, and Layla watches, because they were like in private, and then Layla catches them kissing, and she's like obviously upset about that, because she's in love with Justin, right? Am I even explaining this correctly? She's in love with Justin, right? And she catches Maggie kissing Justin, and she thinks they're making out with each other, but then we get a later perspective that Maggie just kissed Justin, but it was not with his consent, and he eventually pushes her back, and he's like, I'm with, kind of doing something with Layla, like, get away from me. But he never really, like, he low-key kissed her back, I think. Like, he was low-key making out with her, which, like, okay, yeah, they're not really in a relationship. None of them are in a relationship together, but it's like, you were kind of like being like very like, Layla, you were the only girl for me, like, don't worry, I'm not gonna do anything else. I'm kind of yours. I'm not gonna do anything else with anyone else, right? So yeah, he's low-key like, why are you kissing other girls and then trying to be like, I love you? And then why the heck do you get married and then have twins at 21? I turned 20 this year in July. So you're telling me that in a year I could, no, I don't even want to think about it. But that is that story. I would rate it 3 Yappuccinos out of 5. This is actually Honor in the Rain's first story, I think. This is the first story they published. It was before in 27 days, because it's 2011. Not Honor in the Rain. In 27 days is 2012. But yeah, the writing is still good. Honor in the Rain, Alison Gervais, if I'm even saying that correctly. Why do I think it's a French name? Very underrated writer. I think their writing is very good. Oh, I didn't even mention, like, I feel like people have this connotation that Wattpad stories are, like, very cringe. It's giving 12-year-olds wrote it. You know what I mean? Like, and they think they're going to be the next best-selling author. But if I'm being honest, I think that a lot of Wattpad novels are very good. Very greatly written. And again, like, I've kind of read more Wattpad novels at the end of last year, and then this year I'm getting into, like, reading actual novels that are published. The fine line between the two of them is that they're not all that different. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you were to take in 27 days, which is why it was published, like it was actually published, like it was started on Wattpad and then it actually became published. Like, it makes sense because it actually has like the sustenance of a real published book, you know what I mean? So I think this connotation that Wattpad novels are cringe, this and that, it still kind of makes sense, you know what I mean? There are definitely some cringe Wattpad novels, but I feel like a lot of the writing is actually very good, and you would be surprised about how much it really is kind of on the same caliber as a regularly published book. So in my opinion, I think a lot of people are talented writers on Wattpad, and I feel a little upset that these writers haven't gone farther in life. I wish they were, you know, on the same caliber as all the authors that are trendy and famous and viral right now. Like, I wish they could have made this their career, you know what I mean? But it kind of doesn't really seem like that shift is possible. I don't know. I think the person who made Sidelined, which I've watched Netflix Party react to those movies, and they don't seem like my cup of tea. I'm sorry if you loved it. Sorry if you loved the movies, the book, but the author of that story, like, they went from Wattpad to actually published novel. So I think they're doing good in their author career, but these ones, it's like early 2000s. You would think that, you know, like, oh, it was way back then, so it's like they must be like these grandiose author now, but it's like, I don't think so. I think Alison Gervais, I do follow her on Instagram. She like she posted this picture of her book on an airport. So I think she's making, you know, she's still doing it, but I don't think it's her full career. You know what I mean? So I like, okay, I think you get what I'm talking about. Let's get on to this because I think we have like, okay, we're halfway through. Yeah, we're halfway through. Let's get on to my mutuals book. It's called Love Like Spilled Coffee. The summary is, it's kind of big. My throat is kind of, after talking for a long time, it kind of gets that way. This video is already an hour long. That's great for me. I'm hoping that you're entertained and that this video is not a nothing burger. I planned it out a lot more eloquently in my head. I hope you're entertained nonetheless. Anyways, getting on to this next book, Love Like Spilled Coffee by Lunara Writes. It's completed. March 25, 2025 was when it was last published. Damien Blackwood is a man who has everything: wealth, power, and an unshakable reputation as a ruthless CEO. Love? He never believed in it. To him, emotions were distractions, and relationships were nothing more than business transactions. But everything changes one morning when he accidentally spills coffee on a stranger at a cafe. Ella Carter, with her soft eyes and warm smile, isn't like the people he's used to. She doesn't fawn over his status or try to impress him. Instead, she simply cleans the mess, gives him a polite nod, and walks away, leaving him utterly captivated. For 15 days, Damien returns to the cafe at the same time, just to see her from afar. He doesn't know why, he doesn't even know her name, but something about her makes his carefully controlled world feel unsteady. Then fate takes control. Ella walks into the Blackwood Enterprises for an interview, only to realize the man from the cafe, the one who had been haunting her thoughts is her new boss. Damien is thrilled, but keeps his emotions locked away, offering her the job with a professional mask. As they spend more time together, the tension between them grows. Damien finds himself breaking his own rules, drawn to the warmth and kindness Ella brings into his cold, calculated world. Ella, in turn, sees glimpses of the man beneath the powerful CEO, one who's afraid to love, but even more afraid of losing her. Will Damien finally let go of his fears and embrace the love he never believed in, or will his hesitation cost him the one thing he never knew he needed? A heartfelt, slow-burn romance about fate, unexpected love, and the power of simple moments that change everything. I don't remember much about this novel, if I'm being honest. I remember there was a description about his heart pounding his ribcage, which I thought was a really good description. But overall, what do I remember? I'm just gonna rate it 3.8 out of 5 Yappuccinos. Why did I not put up the other novel that I read? I read this other novel by another person that I'm following called Reasons to Stay. Why did I not put that on my TBR? But let's just get into Reasons to Stay, because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even like say that in the beginning. spoilers, if you want to read Reasons to Stay, read it. If you don't want to read it and you're okay with me talking about it, yeah. Let's get into the summary. Ethan's standing on a Highland bridge at midnight, ready to end it all, when a girl appears out of nowhere with ice cream and zero intentions of leaving him alone. Riley is either an angel or completely crazy. He hasn't decided which, but her offer is simple. Give her until her birthday, just 2 months away, to prove life is worth something. After that, whatever he decides is up to him. He expects nothing. Instead, he gets midnight drives and way too many milkshakes. Gets random star quotes she's memorized just to make him roll his eyes. Gets stupid jokes that somehow make him laugh when he swore he'd forgotten how. But the closer they get, the more he sees through her smile to the shadows underneath. And as her birthday approaches, Ethan realizes keeping Riley alive might be the only thing worth living for. In Reasons to Stay, Ethan is the popular guy in school. He does football, he's going to get into Ivy Leagues, his grades have to be the top of the top because his parents are putting a lot of academic pressure on him, and that is the reason why he attempts to commit suicide, right? So Riley catches him, and she's also dealing with her own stuff, and the two of them just help each other heal, and in the process, they fall in love. That is what the story is about. I love how the story gave us a perspective on how, I feel like you kind of don't really see the popular guy at school really dealing with any mental health issues. They kind of just seem to like be very egotistical and like, I'm at the top of the world being the popular kid of the school. But this popular guy, he's like, football is like, I'm really stressed out, this and that. I need to be perfect in everything I do, and it's getting too much for me to handle, which is why he goes to these ends. And the story was very good. The writer, Sulky Tay, I follow her. I gotta tell you something. So basically, if you're not familiar with Wattpad, you can add a background to your profile. Her background is a little weird. For some reason, I have an inkling that she might not be a real person. I'm hoping that she is, because I don't know, her like bio kind of read a bit AI-ish. Now that we're on the topic, I feel like the reason Wattpad is just not really doing too good right now is because AI has entered the chat. So many stories have AI book covers, and to me, an AI book cover means that I wouldn't put it past the author that they use AI in their story, you know what I mean? AI book cover, I'm assuming that your story is also AI, and there are a lot of AI bots on Wattpad as well, so not a lot of real people interact with your stories. And as someone who's been a writer, has joined it for 2 years, has had the app for 2 years, right? I've had more bots, scammy people that try to slide into your messages and stuff that are like, oh, this story would be really good as a comic. I can do commissions. Here's my social media, and it's a bunch of BS, right? Or it's like, oh, your story's not doing good, I can help you with some sort of marketing tactic and whatnot. So if you're interested in perhaps being a writer on Wattpad, just know that there are people out there like that, and you will run into them more than real people who are trying to interact with your work. But the reason why I'm making this video is that if you are a Wattpad writer, like, we should just make this community where we help each other put our stories out there, because come on now, everybody wants to have their career, have their story out there. You know, if you have potential, if you see potential in it, if you think you can offer something to the table, feel free to leave that information down below. Leave it in the comments that, oh, here's my story, if you feel like checking it out, because, you know, I do writing on the side. And, you know, if you're interested in my videos, maybe you're interested in my stuff as well, which I will link in the description. But yeah, this story was really good. Reasons to Stay. The descriptions was very good. I'm hoping that this story is not AI, because the cover doesn't look AI, but I don't know, the bio and then the background pic was a little suspicious for this author. But out of Yappuccinos, I would rate it a 4 out of 5. But yeah, I need to put this on my TBR, because why did I not do that? Like, so unprofessional. I'm so sorry that this video is a mess. But let's wrap it up. We're almost near the 1 hour mark. So I'm kind of not gonna speed run, but sort of speed run. Let's get into I Write Romances, Not Live Them by That Crazy Bookworm. First time New York Times #1 bestseller, Adelaide Maddox. Adelaide Maddox. Why is that so hard to say? Adelaide Maddox is not like normal 21-year-olds for many reasons. Not only is she one of the most popular romance novelists, she's hiding something from her readers. She's never been in love, never even been kissed, and when Addie's faithful editor retires and a newer, hotter replacement comes in, how far will she go to make Mr. Elliot Hayes hers? It's a battle royale at the office, and maybe with the help of her best friend Bria, Addie can be victorious. And through all of this, can Addie escape her writer's block and finish her 6th novel? Read as Addie acquires her battle scars, goes through lessons in flirting, and struggles to live out her own romance. In I Write Romances, Not Live Them. This story was so good. Not like, for some reason I mentioned in my past videos that for me to really like a story, I kind of need to have that book hangover, feel melancholic about it, and really just think about it from time to time. But overall, I can say that this story is still good, even if I don't have those feels from it. From the summary that I just read, I just want you to know that if you haven't read this book, which you definitely should if you haven't, the summary is nothing like the book. The main character, I feel like this is a very good novel for if you are interested in writing to kind of delve into, because it has a lot of the elements that a lot of these Instagram editors that are like, don't do this to your writer, don't do this, don't do that, has, because a lot of those Instagram editors are like, you should have this in your novel instead of something else. They usually say that your character can't be too perfect, can't be too much of a goody two-shoes, and I think Addie is very much you can tell that from her influences from the people she's with. She kind of starts to lose herself and lose who she really is, and it makes her do bad things, and it makes her mess up, and it makes her, but then she has her redemption and whatnot. So this story, I would say it's less of a romance, it's more of a drama, and I honestly really liked it. I would rate it a 4 Yappuccinos out of 4 out of 5. 4 Yappuccinos out of 5. If it's not obvious, it's kind of already near the end of the video. My throat kind of feels a little ugh. But anyways, let's get into my mutual's other story. She told me to check it out, so I did. It's called 3 Ways to Fall in Love. 3 best friends, Alyssa, Madison, and Una, step into university life together, ready for a new beginning. But love has its own plan. For one, it begins the moment eyes meet. For another, it blooms in quiet realization. And for the last, it erupts in chaos and rivalry. 3 stories, 1 friendship, and a year that changes everything. This story was pretty cliche, but come on now. What is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that at all. It was very quick, very easy, but not too memorable. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 Yappuccinos. There's nothing really much for me to say about it. Now we have 2 more books remaining. These books, I don't know how to feel about them because they have elements that are just ooh, why did the characters do that? And why are you trying to convince me that it's okay that they did that? Let's get into Smitten Kitten by High Rule. Their profile picture is Danny DeVito in that white wig. So you know they're kind of based. Their writing, I can already tell you, super good. I would say the best writing that I've ever stepped into when it comes to Wattpad novelists. Again, this book could so definitely be published into a real book, I guess you could say. I feel like Wattpad novels are real books, but I mean a published, you feel it, okay, it's trending on Booktok or whatever, you get the deal. Let's read the summary. When Vika gets kicked out of her flat, she moves in with her friend under one condition. She must babysit Cleo, the friend's best man's cat. She doesn't expect Cleo's owners to be the cold but delectably sexy Noelle, and it turns out they'll be spending a lot of time together, ... Self-proclaimed unambitious Vika is down on her luck. She's been fired from her job, kicked out of her apartment, and now she finds herself on her best friend's fiancé's couch, facing writer's block and a dreary future. To top it all off, she has to earn her keep by taking care of her friend's best man's cat. Vika's their maid of honor, so she can't exactly say no to such a simple request, especially when the best man in question is the drop-dead gorgeous Noelle. Soon sparks fly between Noelle and Vika, but their chemistry is put to a test as wedding duties get underway. Can they keep the fire burning long enough not to make a scene at their friend's wedding? Vika, what a messy main character. But so real, but low-key messy. And Noelle, it's literally a CEO romance, but it doesn't really read that way. It doesn't really kind of fall into that same cliche, but it kind of does, but kind of doesn't. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't really say it's like it's a CEO romance, but it is a CEO romance. And I'm gonna be so honest, it's not a guilty pleasure. It's a pleasure. I love CEO romances, but not the kind of CEO romance where it's like the CEO is like super cold, has no personality. I kind of want the CEO to be like, there's this new K-drama coming that's out called My Royal Nemesis. The CEO's name is Chase-ge, I believe. I'm watching it in another language, the language I speak in my household, so they kind of speak his name a little differently, but I hope I'm getting that right. I want my CEOs to act that way. Which is when I say like, oh, I like CEO romances, that is what I'm talking about. I don't want a cold CEO who's grumpy and mean for no reason and makes his employees essentially slave labor. Like, I don't want that kind of CEO. I want a nice CEO that kind of finds himself hee hee ha ha. But like, I don't want the traumatic like backstory of why they're cold, this and that. I don't care. I definitely want to write a CEO romance in my future, but I want to make the CEO likable, even if he's grumpy or a little cold. You know what I mean? So Loki, it's a guilty pleasure. So for the story, the reason why I kind of put it in a different tier list compared to the other ones, about like, oh, I don't know how to feel about it, was because there was a breach of consent in this story. And I think the author kind of tried to brush it under the rug and make it seem like nothing happened. But I saw that, I read that, and unfortunately I still went through with the book. But even when I was like faced with that red flag, I was like, should I just drop the story altogether? But the writing made me stay. But I can't really rate this out of Yappuccinos. When it comes to the writing, Yappuccinos, 5 out of Yappuccinos. When it comes to that breaking of consent stuff, negative. We're in the negatives, babe. But that is what I would give this story. I would still recommend it though. This author, have they written on other... Oh shoot. I hate it when you press on the story and it thinks that you're wanting to get into it. No. This book also like, oh, they have more stuff. They do have more stuff. It's a little arch my brow slightly, but I think they stopped writing because someone in the comments was like, oh my gosh, I just keep coming back to your stuff. Sorry, I just hit the mic. But you're not writing anymore, and it's sad, blah blah blah. But their writing is very good, and I think that in the short span of the chapters, they were able to wrap it up quickly, and just the pacing of the story is really good because that's very hard for authors to capture. I'm talking about myself. I'm not an author though, I'm a writer. That's what I meant. Next book by X the Pineapple Girl X, Hit List. Bree Portman has a rather unusual job. She is paid to kill people, and her next target is the one and only Elijah Lancaster, her ex-best friend. He is known to be a man whore. Oops, I did not know that. Profanity. Watch your profanity, I'm sorry. And it seems that he accidentally slept with a married woman. Now someone wants him dead, and she has to get rid of him. Elisha is always surrounded by people, particularly of the female gender, and Bree figures that the best way to kill him without causing a scene is getting close to him again. Maybe that wasn't her best decision, ... That, now that I'm reading that summary, sounds so good. The author ate with that. But why is this story in the I don't know section? Because, dude, the characters are very messy with each other. It's so American. Like, you know when something is so messy, it's so American. Like, sis, you're very messy. Bree is that gal, but she is so that girl. And Elijah, though, he's not really there. But he's sweet, but he's just freaky. Like, and they do get freaky with each other later in the novel. It's not explicit, but I would rate this I would give this story kind of a mature rating, but it doesn't have a mature rating. And tell me why I wrote a little bit of a racy scene in my lesbian novel. I'll put it up here. What is the title? Mary Sue Hasn't a Clue. And I was flagged for my story to be mature. It wasn't even that bad. This story had a literal scene where there was some slapping of the ass. And that didn't get rated mature, but mine did, and it wasn't even that bad. Like, Wattpad, make it make sense. Homophobia. But what else am I supposed to assume? That certainly means it's homophobia. Anyway, that ass slapping scene in this story, I was like, oh, what am I reading? That's why I put it in the I don't know section. But overall, guilty pleasure. This story was good. It was a guilty pleasure, but what is this hesitation? I just kind of didn't really like the love interest. Like, he was sweet at times, but he was kind of ick. I would personally never get with a guy like that, in my opinion. I would rate this Yappuccinos out of... I'd rate it a 4 Yappuccinos out of 5. If we just get rid of the ass slapping scene and some of the weird freaky stuff in this book, 4 Yappuccinos out of 5. That is it. I'm pretty sure this video is almost 2 hours long. Did I even say anything of sustenance and whatnot? Hopefully. And I hope that when I do this Divine Rivals book summary, I'm not a mess the way I was here. I hope you found this video interesting. I hope that I can edit it well and that people watch it. I hope that things are just good. And I have school tomorrow. I have to be up at 5:45 and calculus. I don't know my grade. I hope I did well on my first test. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, even though my throat kind of got a little... But I drank some water, took a little bit of a break, and I think we're back at it. I don't know how people do, like, full-on, like, speaking for, like, 2 hours straight and their throat is fine. I don't know how they do it, but maybe they split the video in two. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are doing well in this time of day. Write whatever you want in the comments. I'm so looking forward to reading your guys' thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Petitions in my description.